Thank you for having me. My name is Alex. I like bow ties. I've worked with quite a lot of teams in the past 10 years, more than some recruiters would consider is healthy. But trivago gives the fair share of changes that you have to react to. And through working with these teams and working at trivago and working before, you unavoidably get kind of thrown into a lot of things that you have to deal with and to react with. And what I'm going to present is how I managed or how I chose to deal with them. And I'm still here, so apparently some of it worked, right? A pinch of salt here is that this says, it doesn't say directly the company, right? It says help your team. The focus is on helping the people in your care to actually achieve what drives more value for our users and the company indirectly. All right. And you have this accountability and you have this huge responsibility on your shoulders, right? It's like that commercial that aired in the US decades ago, like you can prevent forest fires, right? And you're going there like 7 years old, like me, I cannot, how can I do that? The situation is similar from the perspective of a product manager. You're accountable for the results of the team and to drive results, right? Be higher up in the list. But there's something interesting in the description of responding to change. Agile methodologies allow the team to modify the process and make it fit the team rather than the other way around. Yeah, and this was for the entire team, right? So they were supposed to change the processes and how they work in order to fit the way that they're working and the problems that they're trying to solve at any given time. I don't know about you, but most of the time we don't stop to think about how to change it to fit the current problems and the current way that we're doing, right? Yet ironically, I don't think you've ever worked on the same button twice, right? You're always constantly working on new problems in new ways with new people, right? Everything is different, or almost everything is different. So if we were to change it and to kind of take that principle from a leader's perspective or from a PM perspective, right? We should modify our approach and environment to make it fit the team, yeah? Rather than the other way around, rather than try to enforce it. And I mentioned changes, and I promise this is going to be one of the few slides where I have bullet points, but just to show that it never stands still. It's always changing. You're in a constant change. And every time this change happens, you go through this to some extent. The 7 stages of change. Now, some of them are not visible, right? But on some huge changes, you were able to see it, right? Pitching, going public, leadership change, right? All of the changes at company level that we constantly do, those are very visible, and there you can see it clearly. The funny part is that we go through this even if it's a very small change, even if somebody goes, even if somebody changes their desk, things change. state. Way to defocus me. All right. So coming back to the system of change. The challenge is, how can we adapt fast enough? Right? This is a quote that I've learned playing Civilization. Discovered later it was not actually Darwin who mentioned this quote, but he got the attribution. But it's not the most, let's say, strongest of the species or smartest that survives. It's the one that adapts better to change and fastest to change, right? Has nothing to do with strengths or intelligence. It's just, are you able to adapt to the new system in which you're in? Are you able to adapt fast enough to survive in that system? I'm saying survive is not that horrible, right? I mean, I like my job. But I think when he created it and when he spoke about this, it was also about surviving, right? It's about how fast you adapt. So how do we do that? If we are in constant change from the inside, change from the outside, what steps should we do, or what can we do to actually adapt faster to the new game that we're playing, to the new system? And my way of doing it, or how I found to do it, is I give up the anchors that would not allow me to move as quickly. So some of the anchors. One, your job. Who's a team lead or a product manager in here? Hands up. Right? Now, keep your hands up, or raise it again, if you actually started directly as a product manager. Right? None. Or a team lead, right? Anybody started as a lead directly? Lucky. All right, one hand out of everyone. We grow out of other jobs. We grow out of other roles. And the pitfall that you have is that you don't give up the keys to that role. You come back to work on the first day that you have the lead role, you keep doing the stuff. You keep going through the motions because it's so ingrained, because you're doing it, you're good at it, right? That's one of the reasons why you probably gotten past the position, right? But in order to move faster, you have to give that up. Your focus should not be on your previous role. You probably have someone doing it in the team already. Instead, you should focus on what the team is not focusing on. That's why you're there. That's what the role demands. But until you're ready to do that, you cannot fully focus on it. And I have an experience where both me and a colleague of mine in a previous team focused on the same thing. We were both operational PMs. And then one of us, not me, got the senior role, the team lead, to focus on the strategy. First week, he would do the same things. He would come, check the release control, check for C-test. Are you writing those tasks correctly? Then after a week, we had a talk. He's like, what are you doing? You're doing the same thing. Then a week later, when he finally pushed himself to focus on that, he realized how much of the lead part and the strategy part had not been done, just because we didn't afford the time to focus on it. So give up your job. Distractions. The mindset. There's two things here related to the mindset that you have to give up. One, it's the us versus them. And this is a very, very tricky thing to give up. Yeah? My team versus everyone else's team. Yeah? We're doing it right. Everyone else is doing it wrong, right? And then because of that, because you're not giving that up, then the team is not giving that up. And so you cannot change, you cannot adapt, especially when other teams are moving, you cannot find your place because it's still us versus them. So instead of focusing on the change and on where you and your team would fit, you focus on why are these things changing and why are they changing? Why are we not doing the change? The second part of the mindset is more on value, on how you perceive yourself of delivering value from a lead position or from a PM position. I started out with, I need to prove that I can contribute most of the value. I need to show the team that I'm contributing value. Complete solo value contributor has nothing to do with the role that I was put in. Then I migrated to how can I help or what can I do so that the team delivers more value, but it's still at team level. And soon you migrate to how does the team or what should the team focus on so that it can deliver value, the most value in the company. And finally, what should my team do in order to push the most important strategies of the company forward? On each step of the way, you see things differently, both from your perspective of what you can do to drive and support the team forward, and what you can do for the company and how you perceive these shifts. Blame. This is probably one of the biggest productivity killers ever. You find something went wrong. So the first thing that you would do, the most horrible thing that you could do, if you want your team to actually work and fix the problem, is to start blaming. Because the team will either fixate on you, look, this is how he's gonna do things every time, he's gonna blame, or they're gonna fixate on the person that you blamed and probably just focus on the blame itself. Instead of you focusing them on how to fix, they focus on the emotions. And then we stop at the emotions, right? I am attacked, I go on defensive. Why should I even care about fixing it right now? I don't feel this is the right approach. So give up blame has no part in pushing the team forward or getting to solutions, right? Discuss about it. Yes. How can we prevent it? Sure. It's very important, right? I don't want to repeat these mistakes, and I want to avoid them. But I don't think in the way that we work right now in interdependent teams and changes that it's fair to say that something can be blamed on one person alone. Stress. Same, different nuance, but if somebody wants to get stuff done tomorrow, right, the last thing that you want to do is to go and stress the people out that you want to work to get things done as fast as possible. Sense of urgency, yes. Healthy pressure with different kinds of motivation and why it would make sense to move faster, yes. Stress and just do it. They won't focus on doing it. They'll focus on, is this fair for me? Is this a fair situation? Why do we need this artificial deadline? Your ego. You're not the star. Well, we'll never be her. And nor should you be. I'm not a maker, and I'll never be a maker. And the subtle part about giving up your ego is then you are free to also demand that other people give up their ego, right? It's moving from a value, an authority based on opinion and strength of knowledge to an authority based on definition of what value is. It has nothing to do with you, but you enforce that everybody defines clearly what does value mean. And you remove the ego that nobody puts opinions in. There's a quote, if we have data, let's use data. If all we have is opinions, then let's use mine. And more often than not, using mine, whoever that person is going to be a bad approach to move forward. And I thought, okay, if we're talking about a leader without an ego, right? Who could I give you as a role model, right? Somebody that supports their team, that encourages and coaches constantly, that won't try to claim credit, but instead will promote their team and give credit where credit is due, right, to the makers. And then I thought, okay, I think everybody does have a role model like this, or somebody that has taken that role, whether they freely accept it or not. Any guess? Moms. Like good examples. They don't always make it as well, right? We could talk about our own mothers, what we think is right or wrong, but they start off from that perspective, right? They are constantly doing stuff for their team without asking necessarily all the time for anything in return, maybe to take out the trash. But they are a leader without a title. They're unsung hero. They just get the stuff done. They focus on how the family could move forward, right? And how they can support the individuals in the family. Emotional boundaries. Give up trying to make everyone happy. You're not there for that. It's beyond the point of your role, and you trying to make everyone happy will just cloud your judgment on what needs to be done to move forward. Yeah, and most of the time, if you're doing something if you're doing something that has an impact, most likely you'll get some people upset, right? It's just the way it is. It's sometimes this is the way that people know that they're doing something worthwhile. Yeah, you see people reacting, is this good? Whoa, you're trying to move the whole office. Is that really something that we want to do? Yeah, so give up trying to make everyone happy. It's an anchor. Give up your fears and comfort zone. We're not solving the same thing twice. We're not going on roads that have been tried before, right? we're trying to do something new most of the time, just by the sheer fact that we're doing it with different people that others have done it, right? If you don't give up these fears or the comfort zone, you cannot fully do things like, I don't know, if you don't have knowledge on a topic, to trust actually your teammate and their solution to move forward with it. You're gonna say no because I don't feel comfortable with going with something that the team knows, but I don't, yeah? And give up hating change. I've started with this and I'm gonna continue with it. It's a very funny thing. Have you ever, it's funny that when we make decisions, when we decide I'm gonna cut my hair, I'm gonna go to university, I'm gonna learn to ride a bike, I'm gonna go to Tahiti now, right? It's amazing. That change, like I'm gonna do that change, it's gonna be so much fun, right? When somebody else comes with a change upon us, like, are you sure? We go on the defensive, but it's change, right? It's the same thing, it's changes. It just comes from different sources. Why should we treat it though differently? Sometimes changes don't make sense, but that goes for our changes as well, right? And it's fine to object and make sure that that change is the best one, but it should make no difference whether it's changed from us or from the outside in how we treat it. It's just the same. And sometimes it makes no sense to keep dwelling on the change if you know that you cannot actually stop it. If this is here to stay and this is something constant, you might as well use the time to see how you can adapt and play the next game. Give up on leading everyone the same. This was something used for educational system, but I think it applies as well. Not everyone gets motivated by numbers. Not everybody is excited by using universal desks, right? Not everybody is happy with you cheering them in public. It happens, right? So if you want the best results from everyone, from each individual, right? Don't try and use the same card, but instead listen to what each person needs in your team. Limiting the team to you. I still haven't fixed this completely, but it's a very big trap to fall in when we impose on the team that they make decisions from our perspective or together with us every time. Or if we don't include everyone in the team when we're making the decision process. Sometimes we might consider that we're not going to ask people because then they might fear that we don't know everything, right? But if we become the bottleneck or if we don't take actions to remove this bottleneck, then essentially we're not performing at full capacity of the team. We are the bottleneck. So it doesn't matter how much knowledge I have as an expert, I'll still be limiting the other 5 people to my perspectives and my way of doing things and my way of deciding, right? And it takes a lot of trust and a lot of openness to actually say, I'm not really sure that this is the right approach, but I trust the team to do it. And most of the people in the team have a strong feeling about this. And then you become like the predator, right? Where you're able to see each problem not only from your perspective, but you're able to scan a situation or problem from each of your team members' perspective and then take a decision or make a decision together. The team needing you. I don't know if you attended the morning one, but one of my beliefs is that the goal of a team lead and a PM, and one of the metrics that you can define the success is that you make yourself redundant to the team. What I mean by this is you support the team and you define the process with the team in such a way that everything that you knew and everything that you are doing or you are doing by being in the team, you find a way that the team does on its own. And thus you become redundant. And when you're redundant, probably there's going to be people that will look at this and say, we should give this person more work to make himself redundant in other teams as well. But this is how you grow the team. You make it as independent as possible. It's quite hard because people and communication are a hard thing to reach an ideal state. But this is a goal that I would challenge you to have, to try and see how do you modify the process in order for the team, when you're gone, to function still at 100% capacity and performance, like you were there, right? So why give all of this up? Because we should modify our approach and we should be able to do it as fast as possible. Also, if you think about the system change, what your teams will do in the moment when we go through changes is they'll try to latch on to something that's not moving. So if you manage to adapt and change faster than everyone else, or manage to adapt faster than them, then you will be stable enough to support them when they're going through the change, when they're going through the anger, when they're trying to be informed, when they're trying to see how to handle the change that they're going through. Thank you.